Welcome back, everybody. I am excited to start this series of videos because I've been doing this for over 3 years now, and I've been talking about Weiss Schwarz and investing in it. This is the time to see if it really all was worth it, and not one of those videos I did in the past that just showed you the current prices on the booster box and how they're doing now. I'm just going to take a deep dive into these actual sets. We're going to take a look at the cards, the prices, the booster box, the sealed, all of that good stuff. Was it really worth it? Did our expectations of what was going to happen with this set actually come true? Because I had a lot of thoughts on it. And with this one in particular, this is going to be Magia Record Mobile. This is the first one that I actually opened to play with, just to enjoy the cards. I played it with my sister. It was actually a lot of fun, and I'm happy I got to do it with this one because Madoka was the first anime that I saw at a convention. Went to a convention. I got blindsided, but what was going to happen on that actual episode. Everybody remembers the first series. If you watch Madoka, what I'm talking about. It was pretty crazy. You could even see the lady on the screen right now, off to the right in yellow. There we go. Now, Magia Record Mobile came out on February 26, 2021. There was a booster box, there was a trial deck. This was much simpler times, and it is crazy that I chose this one out of all of them to do that because it came right before the craziness of like the big Weiss Schwarz collector investor boom that took place. Now, inside of those booster box, you saw 7 SPs. They were signed, of course, and there was also 22 overall parallels, right? So your triple rares, your super rares, and your SPs. There wasn't a lot back then. There wasn't 100 types of parallels to match the 100 type of base rarities. There wasn't 150 of them just to go over the top because some sets do that, and it was more. There was other ones that had like 40, 50 parallels. This one 22. I like that a lot better on the collector's side because there wasn't as much to collect. You didn't have to kill your budget on it, and at the same time, sometimes I feel like there are filler super rares in there. It doesn't look good at all. They just do it to do it. And I don't really like that. Like, make your foils meaningful. You also have this playmat, which I've complained about before when it comes to playmats. They don't use the whole entire surface for the picture itself, but I will say on this one, it actually blends well together, right? You have the flowers, you have, I guess, the glass shards over there, the Magia Record logo. It all matches together really well. So I enjoy this playmat. I give kudos to Bushy Road on that one. The trial deck, what you had inside of here was one SP that would be our heroine. That would be Iroha this time. Yes, great. There's 7 parallels inside of this trial deck, so it's going to be your SP4 triple rares and 2 super rares. Not anything one for one as we have it nowadays, so it's pretty nice in that way. Now, on the price side, actually, before I go to the price side, let me just show you this. Because as part of my buyer and invest videos, I didn't do this for Magia Record Mobile. What I go through in my mind is the meta usage and then also the anime following. I know this is a mobile game, but overall, Magia Record, Madoka, all of that, it's been pretty strong. When you think about this, Madoka back in the day, 8.37, 1.3 million followers. But then you get to Magia Record, didn't do as great, 6.81, 163,000 members. It goes down over time with the second season. I would agree because I didn't like the second season all that much. 6.99, 66,000 members. And finally, for the finale, 6.77, 31,000 members. So it dropped off over time. If I was saying on my buyer invest videos, I'd be like, that's probably a really bad sign for this. And if you take a look at the sealed prices on here, the booster box is $75. And you think about what you could have gotten for back then, right? $50, $65, 70 maybe. And it's still sitting here at $75. On the trial deck, $19.50. So you're going to be like, wait a second, there's other places you can buy this at. Well, you can. You can go out here to eBay and find some. This box right here, that's going to be your anime version. Down below here is the trial deck that we are talking about today, $24.94, 1998. You have a sale on here for $65.99. So obviously TCG players prices, eBay prices. Go check wherever you want, but you get the general idea what's actually happening here. There hasn't been a whole lot of movement on the sealed, and obviously overall I would tell people never to buy a loose pack of this unless you want the pack art itself, which is really nice. I actually like the pack art. There you go. So if you see me do box openings, I always try to keep at least one of these just because it looks cool. So if it's a dead pack, I like keeping it. I think it's really nice to have. Now on the SP side, this is always fun because I saw this sometime during the week. I think there's somebody that was selling some of these an SP, and this picture came up $4,786.50 on the SP. Obviously that is not a real price. I know people may come out here and look at that. It's not the right price at all. Even though I will say, man, this Tsuruno is fire. Yeah, I mean, this actually looks freaking awesome if you've never seen this card. Look how cool that looks. I mean, dang, even the signature looks really awesome. It's just overall really great card. And then you have my favorite of all the girls from this set. That'd be Felicia. She's so good. I love her. She's a strong, very, very cool character. I enjoy her a lot. This card, I will tell you, was as low as $50. But you can see what's going on here, and it's always a positive sign when I see this. If I take a look, Homura over here, sold out. Actually, there's one down here. $350.99. Oh, you're gonna get a PSA 10 version right there. But it says we have a market price $269.99. Let me just go down. Is there anybody else that's sold recently? I don't see any. So you have it where this set came out 3 years ago. You have signatures on these things. You have some crazy prices on here. We got two actual prices. I guess we have that Homura under there. I don't like that. I really wish they would say one listing, even if it has that PSA on there of 10. But we got this Iroha. This is your trial deck version. You got the Sana 169, which was a lot less than this 169 price. But they're still here. This pretty much tells me, right, that over time, the stock, the inventory of these SPs were actually sold. There's not a ton of them out there. Are they going to go for $4,000? No, they're not. But at the very least, people wanted to buy these over time. Same thing with the triple rares. This is really nice to see. Look at this again. There's 8 triple rares inside of this entire set. 4 in the booster box, 4 in the trial deck. You actually have this Yachiyo over here that has sold as late as July 8th, 2024 for $10, which may not seem like a big thing for you, but when it comes to Weiss Schwarz and specific IPs, I think that's pretty huge because what does that tell me right away? That tells me that there's someone out there that's still willing to play with these cards or collect them, and that's what we love to see as people that want to invest in cards or in sets or anything like that. Prove the thesis that nostalgia is still out there because at this point, Magia Record, you can still use it to play. You can always win any given day. But are you rolling in there for the most part and going to win the tournament, right? If you had to put bets down on a deck to win, you'd be like, okay, Hollow Live. You'd be saying, how about Free Ren one day, or I guess Sword Art Online, Slime, any of those, right? But would you mark down? Would you put $1,000 that it's going to be Magia Record, mobile, and anime set that's going to take the win? Because you're going to combine those sets together. Are you going to say those are going to win? Maybe you don't combine. Maybe you just go straight anime. But anyways, I don't think that's actually going to happen. But it's really cool to see that there's someone out there still willing to pick these up, especially this Sayaka. $20.97 under the SR. Has it sold? Yes, it has. We had 2 back on May 9th, 2024. Okay. I know that sounds not all that great. It's been a couple months since an actual sale happens, but this is what happens in anime TCGs. I don't think people really appreciate or understand that. Some people think that there's just going to be a bunch of sales. You have to know coming into this, you're investing in it because these are based around IPs, and then you have a meta. that it's not always going to sell every day, once every month, nothing like that. You go even take a look at, I like using, if people don't believe me, Pokemon ETVs. You go on there, pick a really old one, and see how often those actually sell. Okay, so when you take a look at the SRs, there are still some expensive ones. Oh, we got one that actually sold out here. Some listings, there's only two, the 8, 11, 4, 4, 4. I like seeing where there's not a ton of these actually left. Oh, Mommy. Take a look at Mommy over there. Doesn't she look great? It feels like she's just full of love and, just loves being around her friends all the time. Anyways, if you take a look at the SRs, this is where they are. This one's pretty cheap. What is this one? Momoko. That's not all that expensive. But going over here, the more important part, this is going to be your double rares. And why I say that is because these double rares are used inside of decks. I know you could use Tsuruno, Felicia for sure, Homura, Sayaka, as you saw with the SR, also on the double rare version. You can pair some of these up with the anime set and do really well. You could go anime set with Felicia's, and you gotta have a good time. I really had a good time playing with this deck. But if you take a look here, interesting enough, we have this Homura 975 is where it currently sits at. But if you take a look, June 28th, two cards bought at 1510. But if I go back a step, let me take a look at. I didn't want to click on that Tsuruno. Let me just zoom out here. This is stuck. I am stuck now. There you go. Let me just click on Felicia here. As mentioned, this is a card that you can definitely use inside of a deck. June 28th to sold 1250. And then scroll down one more time. Sayaka. June 28th, one sold for $10. If you get the drift here, someone's doing something, whether they're building pieces to a deck or collecting it for themselves. I think that's really awesome that someone's out there still looking for it because, like I said, this set near and dear to my heart. Now, you got some rares here. Nothing really sticks out to me. Uncommon, same thing. Common, same thing. Climax, rares, same thing. Commons, obviously. And then we got our PRs here from the booster box, $2 on Tsuruno. Nice. It's really cool because if you didn't think about this, not only are you looking at these cards to see the pricing on them, but someone like me that actually collected them has a whole binder of all this stuff. If there's anything that's really cheap along the way, most people would have given up on it. So if it's still sitting out here, there might be some wiggle room to negotiate on a nice price on these actual cards. And then also your trial deck, a trial deck at $19 seems very nice to pick up. But if you're just interested in one card in particular, they're not all that expensive. Even though there's not a ton of these actually out here, right? This Kaide only has a listing of 2. Interesting. It's actually interesting. Anyways, as you can see here, I think this is one of those sets that you can prove the fact that if you used my method of buy or invest, which I didn't make a video for, so at that time you wouldn't have known about it. If you used that method back then, you would obviously know this is one of those sets that you should not invest in. And it pains me to say that, but it's the actual truth, right? This is the investing in it. You have to know about the strengths and weaknesses of it. This wasn't one of the greatest sets out there. This because I guess the IP wasn't all the biggest. The art inside of here I enjoyed a lot, but it's not going to just do well over time, nostalgia's sake. There's going to be people out there, as I've shown you here, buy cards that actually play with the deck, but not a ton of them. And that just proves the fact of Bushy Road's idea of print to demand. It worked out beautifully here, right? You had enough supply to fulfill the demand of people that are actually wanting it. And I wouldn't say if you look out here that there's a huge oversupply. If I take a look at these cards, like these double rares, they're not like down in the dumps. They're like we have a $10 one, a $12 one, a $10 one, and people actually bought it. I think it'd be more of a problem, I think, in the end, if these things were like 50 cents, because that just means there's a lot of people out there that are holding onto this that maybe don't want it actually. But right here, this shows you this holds value. And I think over time, it's nice to have cards that you can appreciate and hold some sort of value. And if you want to play with them, you could still play with them. I think it's really great to see this. It was a nice balance back then. And, if you don't realize the next set, which one that's going to be, that's when it all gets crazy because the next video in this series, anyways, is going to be Data Live, where you saw a whole bunch of, I guess, shenanigans. I wouldn't say shenanigans, just a lot of interest in it because the meta on it was pretty huge. You had a reprint and another reprint, and then you also had a ban slash restriction list that took place on it. Crazy times back then, and it was the times where it was just amazing back then if you remember it, because I do very vividly. Anyways, let me know your thoughts on this set or anything else that I can add to it. Also, if you feel like writing it down below the case rates, obviously my guess, because I don't remember seeing it back in the day, I would imagine the case for SP should have had two SPs, both Iroha, and the case should have three SPs for the booster boxes. Feel free to write that in these videos because it'd be nice just to have that written down below if I don't mention it at all. But if you need me for any other reasons, feel free to reach me out in any of these places. All this is down in the description. If you need to buy cards from TCG Player, please use my link. But as always, have fun, be happy, and don't spend anything outside your budget. Have a good one.